My daughter's father wants to use her as therapy for his wife, by user ta single mom. 33F, going to preface this by saying my 6 years old daughter's father, 37M, I'm going to call him Jeff, has never been my romantic partner. We had a one-night stand. I don't like people calling him my ex, since it makes it seem we had some kind of emotional attachment. He was never involved after I told him I was pregnant, and actually wanted me to terminate the pregnancy, but I decided to raise my child alone since I have enough money to raise her without child support. For the whole pregnancy and the first 4 years, Jeff was not in the picture. On my mother's recommendation, I did send him pictures and invited him to special events, but he always replied he had no interest in my daughter. 2 years ago he reappeared and began demanding parental rights. When I didn't do what he wanted, he sued and was told no, he was not getting parental rights. He was given the offer to pay child support and then we can revisit giving him actual rights, but he has refused. He has the money, much more than me, but he refuses. I still offered to let him see my daughter in a casual manner, no child support needed, with the agreement anything legal, medical, or educational will not involve him. He pushed the boundaries and we had a fallout. After that, we didn't hear from him for almost 6 weeks before he called to meet for Christmas. After much discussion, I agreed to bring my daughter over on the condition my daughter's godparents could come. Thus we went over for Christmas dinner. And finding out Jeff is married and had never told his family he had a child. It was great to be judged by a bunch of strangers. It was uncomfortable the whole time. I'm going to use fake names, but let's say my daughter's name is Katie. His wife kept calling my daughter Gabrielle. Not the actual name she used, but it was that different to my daughter's name. The wife was also very physical, trying to pick up my daughter or parent her. I would block her or tell her to please let me deal with my child. The whole time she pretty much ignored me, but Katie didn't seem nervous so I decided to just bide my time. I hit my limit when my daughter said she needed the bathroom and this stranger went, "Oh Gabby, you need potty? Let mommy change you." My daughter hasn't worn diapers in a while now and she's more than capable of going alone to the bathroom. I immediately told her to stay away from my daughter and that we were leaving. The woman started wailing that I was kidnapping her baby girl and tried to lunge at me. Her in-laws got in the middle and hold her, consoling her and saying that we weren't leaving and for her to calm down like she was the victim. At that point I just glared at Jeff and told him he better explain or I would be calling the police. He asked me to speak in private in another room and that I could just leave my daughter with his parents. No way that would ever happen. Katie's godparents took her with them despite the wife having a full meltdown. Jeff and I spoke outside and he explained that he and his wife recently lost a daughter. I'm not going to give specific details on that, all I'll say it was sudden and nobody's fault. And as I can only imagine it had caused some psychological issues to his wife. Apparently he had the brilliant idea that having Katie pass as their lost child would help his wife. Without telling me. And that's why he wanted visitations and parental rights. He pleaded for me to leave my daughter with him for a little bit. I asked him what was his plan when his wife heals. His response was disgusting, "Well, I'll just send Katie back with you and it will be just like before." I told him he was insane if he thought I would let him use my daughter like that. What his wife needs is therapy with a professional, not feeding her delusions. And I would not let that woman within miles from my daughter. He told me I was being cruel and didn't know the pain of losing a child. I agreed with him, but reminded Jeff that my priority is not his family, it's my child. What he and his family do to work through their grief has nothing to do with us. I also told him to call his lawyer because I am making sure he never has contact with my child. So that's what I'm bracing for. He's been blasting my phone since Christmas, but I can easily ignore him. My daughter and I are doing a small travel vacation. This isn't an update, just something I feel needs to be said. My daughter is set for life monetarily. She has a trust and I make really good money in my position. If she was 18 right now, I could put her through college without a loan. She doesn't need child support for quality of life. If I could get child support and never worry about her father trying something, I would be suing him in a heartbeat. But after talking to a lawyer and realizing the risk, I've taken the decision that child support, or possible inheritance, is not worth my child's safety. Safety is always first. Entitled Aunt demands I take out my piercing, by user please don't refer to home. A few days ago, my family met at my great-grandparents' house for a family Christmas celebration. My great-aunt, grandma's sister, was there with her grandson, his wife, and their child. This particular aunt is always causing drama in the family. We'll call her R. My dad took me to get my septum pierced for my 18th birthday early in 2023, so I've had it pierced for a while. I've only had the plain silver horseshoe I got back when it was first pierced for a while, but I recently got a new horseshoe piercing decorated with a bee on one end and a honeycomb on the other. It stands out more than the other one, so I guess she finally noticed it during our celebration. I was sitting on the stairs with my brother, as always. R was sitting on the floor across from the stairs with her great-granddaughter, S, and two of my younger cousins. She stared at me for a while, which I assumed was because of my hair because she's never liked the fact that I shaved the sides and got an undercut. Instead, she asked me if I had my septum pierced. I said I did, and she simply asked, why? Before I could even answer her, the answer would have been something along the lines of because I wanted to. She goes, you know, they say that a woman gets her septum pierced so her husband can attach her to a leash and drag her around by it. She actually said that in front of the three younger girls in the room. My aunt and uncle, who were sitting on the couch off to my left, were shocked. Since none of us wanted to cause a scene, we kind of just laughed it off. I was a bit snappy and said, well, mine is a horseshoe, not a ring, so it doesn't matter. The topic was dropped for a while. Later, after we all ate lunch, R cornered me by the bathroom after I washed my hands and demanded I take the piercing out because I was being a bad influence for poor S. S was too busy playing around in her new princess dress to notice anything anyone else was doing, so that was bull. I'm a very anxious person normally, but this bitch of a lady has had something against me and my dad basically my entire life, so I was sick of her shit. I told her to back off and to stop judging me and my decisions when she screwed up her own marriage so much that her ex doesn't like being referred to as her ex because it connects him to her. She gave me so many nasty looks the rest of the afternoon, but I didn't care. I'm already planning on getting more nose piercings, and her stupid ideals can't stop me. She is a virgin unlike you, by user deleted. I, F25, mentioned to my mother that a friend of mine has never been to the gynecologist and that was her response. She gave me the yes sure when I explained to her that women should get yearly check UPS. I was also a virgin when I made my first appointment because my mother didn't believe me when I found a bump in my chest. It was a tumor. Yes, she shamed me numerous times for losing my virginity to the man I've been in a relationship with for 5 years. I didn't tell her that I lost my virginity BTW. Edit, yes, I know that there are different systems in other countries. I am obviously sharing my own experience here. My best friend's entitled stepdad is charging her $750 for not loading the dishwasher, by user Adictatismirnov. My best friend, Ellie22F moved back in with her mom 50F and stepdad 55F 2 years ago. She has 2 brothers, Ben 18M and JJ 15M that also live in that tiny trailer. Just yesterday, Tuesday 01/02, Ellie and her stepdad got into an argument over the dishes. She has been working 10-hour night shifts the entire week, and was too tired to load the dishwasher. She just started a new job as a supervisor in a grocery store. He lit into her, calling her fat and lazy and other nasty things. Then, the following morning, Wed 01/03, she sent me a screenshot of the message he sent her. This is verbatim. Ellie, for this incident to be forgotten, you will owe me personally $350 and we will be adding $400 to your rent this month. We treat you no different from Ben. If you refuse to accept this punishment, then you have a week from this Sunday to move out. Also, in the meantime, you are expected to still help out with what is needed. JJ needs to be picked up at 6:30 tonight. If you refuse to help out, you will be out of this house by this Sunday at noon. The ball is in your court. I expect answers by the time I get home tonight. I am beyond furious that this slimeball has the audacity to say that they treat her no differently from her brothers when that is complete bullshit. Her brother Ben is 18, is working a full-time job, and does not have to pay rent or bills, or is expected to help out around the house like she is. All this time she's been struggling to save money so she can return to school and study programming, but this bully keeps knocking her down for the littlest transgressions. Her mother does nothing to help her, and neither do her brothers. She's stuck in a cramped, unwelcome trailer with a monster for a patriarch. Edit, I just found out her regular rent rate is $400. That means he's asking her for $1,150 total. Ridiculous. I'm also trying to convince her to at least consult a lawyer through a free legal advice site suggested from the ND Legal Self-Help Guide. I kicked my mom out for never helping with the bills, by user Ganjaji Manjan. And apparently, she's living in her car now. For reference, I am a single 28-year-old mother that has a 10-year-old son. My son's dad and I share custody, sometimes 50-50ths and sometimes I have the majority, and he helps me most of the time that I travel for work. However, lately my mother has complained about the fact that she has to watch my son sometimes while I go to work. She sends me angry texts saying that she's a free babysitter, free maid, etc. Years ago I used to pay her for her help and she's always lived with me for free, ever since I started working at 18 when she lost her own steady job. It was the final straw for me hearing that from her recently and I lost my shit, so I recently gave main custody to my son's dad and am now paying him back the child support that he gives me every month. I still see my son on days that I don't work or have a shorter shift. For the past 10 years, my mom has never held a steady job and I've had to cover rent, utilities, phone bill, etc. This month, she started a new job. I also offered her a part-time job with my friend's company for $30 an hour. All I asked is that she gives me $400 a month to help with the bills, especially since now I am no longer receiving child support. She told me that she was just going to live out of her car and she turned down the part-time. This morning, I told her to leave and took her key. We have tried family therapy, but it's expensive for me to keep up with every session. I am feeling hurt, but also relief that I don't have to deal with her shit. However, I feel bad that she's in her car in 40-degree weather. It's not the first time that she has done this and I'm really stuck on what to do. Last time that she went to live in her car was during a fight that we had and I begged her not to leave and to come back. She was there for 3 days until her battery died. This time, I let her go since I'm so tired of her shit. The only thing that we fight about literally all the time is finances and how much she hates taking care of my son while I work. Edit, I don't have another support system other than my ex's family and my mom. I am 1099, so I travel a lot for work and work a lot of night shifts. For this reason, I gave my ex the majority. However, we coordinate with each other and I now have my son on days that I don't work.